Okay, well, we're back at a new stitch. I know it's been a while since I've been gone, but I'm hoping everybody's been practicing and doing well on their crocheting. Today we're going to learn a stitch that is super simple. Even the most basic crocheter can do this, but it's very pretty. As you can see it, look at that, it just kind of looks like lace. I'm making a scarf right here, but I'm going to show you how to do this with a lighter colored yarn, as it's a little hard to get to see where I'm putting the hook with the darker yarn. This is a project I'm doing. You can use this stitch. Let's zoom in on that stitch. Isn't that pretty? Kind of hard to really tell how lacy that looks, but it just lays nicely. This yarn has a nice weight to it, so it's going to make a nice scarf. Okay, so let's get started. This is called the griddle stitch. So for our little spot to swatch today, let's start with crocheting now a chain of not too long. We're just going to get a few rows going. Just chain about 6 inches. Okay, and I can go back to my first videos and practice on the chain. Make your chain fairly loose. I have a bad habit of making it pretty tight, and then my first row curls a little bit, which curling is okay until you're finished. Then you don't want any curling. You can go back and add a border, go back and add another row of single crochet or slip stitch. That helps straighten that out a little bit. So you're going to want to end on a certain amount. I'm just one of those people who just crochets it for as wide as I want, because you see this chain right here where we started this knot. If you get to the end here and you don't need this one, you can take it out. So that's what we're going to do. So let's crochet just a few more slips or chain stitches. Okay, so you don't count the one on your hook. You go to that stitch right there, we're going to ignore. Go to this stitch, and we're going to single crochet into that. Then we're going to double crochet into the next one. We're not going to skip any chains. We're not going to skip any stitches. We're crocheting right into every stitch. So now we've singled, doubled, single, double. Remember how to do the double. If you need help, go back and look at a previous video. Single. And you're going to get a little curly Q here. Do not worry about that. That's just very common at the beginning. Double. Excuse me. Single. I know I said I would do the shell stitch too, so we're going to get to that one too. Not sure if it's going to be today, but we will do that, show people that one too. So we've got a single or a double. It's easy to know which stitch you're on. You got a double there. Single, double, single. Do that all the way across. I hope this yarn's not too light for you to be able to see kind of what we're doing. This first row, you don't really get a view of how pretty that little lacy pattern's going to be, but you will when we get to the next row. Single, double, single, double. This is a stitch you can just kind of do mindlessly because it's easy to see where you are. You can look and go, oh, that's a double. Now I need a single. You always are going to start on a single, and you're always going to end on a double. So if we get to the end here and we're not able to end on a double, we're going to make it work. So there's my double, there's my single, and here's my double. So I got to the end here, and I actually just happened to have the right amount. But if we ended up with an extra stitch right here that we needed a double, we would have just done the double right here. We'd have done the double on the last stitch, and then we would have just taken this little knot out, and we would have tied it back to it'll naturally tie back together. You don't have to do anything but take it out, and it'll just retie for you. We might show you that on another one. I was kind of hoping we'd have a mistake on this one so we could show you, but that's okay. Okay, let's start the next row. Remember when I took my hook out, you always want your moving yarn towards you. You want it facing you. Okay, so stick your hook in, pull it down, chain 1, turn. Here's the kicker that some people need to pay attention to. Always turn it the same. If you're going to turn it clockwise every time. If you're going to turn it counterclockwise, turn it counterclockwise. Let me show you what I did on this just to kind of show you that. See this? You can see right in here, I turned a different direction. It doesn't quite lay quite the same. You can see the little bumps of the double crochets, and here you see it go a little different. That's the problem you get when you don't turn it the same. It's not really too noticeable, and most people would never even know it if you didn't tell them. But I'm just saying, if you're going to start off, you want to start off doing it correctly every time. When I flip my work over, see those little textures, those little baubles? They're already starting to form. Pretty little things. Okay, now I'm going to turn it clockwise. You've got your double crochet here. You've got your single here. So now you're going to do the opposite in them. You're always going to start with a single crochet. You got to the end, double crocheted, chain 1, turn, right into that double crochet, single crochet. Go right through that, and then double crochet into that little single crochet spot. Make sure you don't go down. Let me show you something. Sorry, my yarn's not wanting to cooperate. So when we get to here, this is easy to see. You're going to go right into there. You can kind of see there's the little V's on top, the little hearts. You always want to go through 2 of those. Here, make sure you're not going clear down into here. You want to go right through that hole too. And then that. So let's just keep going here. So we did a double. So see, simple enough. We can see our double. Now I am speaking in English, United States terms. So if you're in another country, you might call it something different. They call the triple, or we call a double. So we've got a single here, double here, single here, double there, single. And if you have to stop and go away for a minute, you pull it out so that you don't lose your tension there. And you can just take a look and see the bobble there. You're going to have bobbles on both sides. We have a nice straight edge. It's very important with crochet to keep a straight edge. Sometimes you have to go into an artificial stitch. That's okay. Doesn't matter. As long as you're not splitting threads and causing yourself to be ruining anything, you're good. We got a double. And we got a single. This yarn I'm working with is kind of an older yarn that was gifted to me, so it's really just one skein. I can't really do anything with it except make a scarf or something, but it's kind of a firm yarn. It doesn't want to yarn. It doesn't pull as smoothly as some. There's some yarns out there that are just like working with butter. They are so smooth. Of course, they cost more money. And these yarns are perfectly fine. They take the wear and tear. These heavy-duty yarns, they take the washings. But they're great to practice your stitches with, because you're not going to be too concerned if you ruin something. You can go get yourself some practice yarns at thrift stores, or even your big box stores sell a skein of yarn pretty cheap to get yourself so you can get practice, because you got to just practice and practice. So we're getting in. We got a double. We got a single. Now in that single that we did before, we're going to want to put a double. So you kind of look for that stitch and you flip it over. See that stitch right there? If you flip that a little bit, you can see there's the 2 we want to go under. Go right under there. Make sure, just kind of guide it with your fingernail. Make sure you're going through just that stitch. You don't want to go through anything else. Now you've ended on a double. Chain, turn clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever you choose to do, but you got to keep it the same every time. And then we can see right there, we're going to put a double here, so we're going to put a single here. You always start with a single, you always end with a double. single, double, and if you, like I said, you have to step away for a minute, you come back and look. These double crochets are very obvious, single crochets are smaller, so you always know which stitch you need to do next. Get some more yarn pulled out of my skein there. Single, double. Now I did not realize there was a name for this stitch. I'm kind of a independent crocheter, not a real pattern follower. I kind of just like to practice with things. I know there's stitches, I know the single, the double, and all the other stitches. But to make a pattern, you can just do whatever you want to do. There's the blanket stitch, the linen stitch, which are kind of versions of this. Once you get these stitches down, there's no wrong, there's no right way to do it. You just want to keep yourself consistent. You don't want to have a whole bunch of, looks like you just tied a whole bunch of knots in your yarn. You want to make yourself a little pattern and stick with it. So you could do double, double, single, and then just reverse it at the top. You could do whatever you want. But this one, there's really nothing new under the sun, and I went searching to find out what the name of this stitch was, because I'm sure I'm not the first person to do it. It's the griddle stitch. So here we're at the end. So right through there. We're going to try to, just be careful, because you got this stitch down here. You don't want to go in it. You want to do the top of the stitch. Go right through that. Make sure when you cut it through, you don't have any, sometimes you can grab these, let me show you here. Yarn is made up of wrapped, excuse me, a whole bunch of individual threads. And sometimes when you're crocheting or knitting or sewing or any number of things, you can accidentally grab right between those stitches instead of the whole round. You just want to be careful about that. So you're going to notice as you're going up here, this side's going to be nice and straight. This side's going to have a little bit of an angle to it, and that's because that's your chain. One way you can avoid having this kind of be tighter like this is, like I said, make your chain a lot looser, or use a size larger hook. That's a way to do it. Or just when you're done, you can put a border, or you can just not worry about it, because eventually this is going to stop curling up on you. Okay, so let's do one more row. See how we're doing there? Isn't that kind of pretty? There's some bobbles there. This isn't a bobble stitch, but you kind of get that texture. Let me show you from the side. Kind of see how it sticks out there a little bit? That's what you're wanting. Okay, let's do one more row, and then I think we're going to be done for today. And then we'll move on to the next project in the next week or so. Chain one, turn it clockwise, single, double, single, double. Now this stitch is a very simple stitch you can use while you're traveling. You want to carry some crochet along. You can make a hat with it, a beanie, a scarf, a head wrap, headband, I'm not sure what they call it, with the twist in the center. You can do this stitch for everything because it has some give to it. Let me get this row done and I'll show you what I'm talking about. When we do the back post, front post, or front post, the ribbed effect for hats and beanies and stuff like that, that gives you a lot of give. This doesn't give you quite that much, but it gives you more than enough that you need for a hat or... And remember when my video on the hat, the simplest way to, oh my goodness, got some, you make a big rectangle, got the dimensions in there, you measure the head of the person you want to go, or you can get online and find an actual measurement, 20-21 inches for most men and a little smaller than that for women. Make yourself a rectangle, then join it at the top. See, I've got to just get right in there, make sure your hook's going through, never force anything. Okay, so we got to that. And as you can see, it's got some give this way, and it's got some give this way. So if we were to make this, let me get my purple one out again and show you. This is actually going to be a scarf, but if I wanted to stop it, it looks like it's a not square, but it is. If I wanted, just the way my camera's doing this, if I wanted to make this a hat when I got done, I would join these ends, combine it up here, and then I'd have a hat. If I wanted to make it a head wrap, I would hook it in here like this, which we will show you how to do that another day, and then flip it around. And it's a little hard to kind of show you how it's going to be when you're trying to, and then you've got yourself a nice little head wrap. This is kind of small to show you, but you can do so much with just a little rectangle of crocheted pieces. So go ahead and give yourself some time and patience and practice it, and you'll be just good as new. Thank you for joining me today.